2021. Join us now for the last but definitely not least designer talk for today. Tuning in from Vienna are sisters Leni Charles and Cheryl Lone from the poetic fashion movement Kids of the Diaspora, and from Berlin Wallpaper magazine contributor Emily McDermott. They'll be talking about being more than a fashion brand and the KOTD message, we are closer to each other than we think. Our roots run deep. And their focus on fashion films as a brand strategy.
Hi, I'm Emily McDermott. I'm here with Leni Charles and Sherry O from Kids of the Diaspora. Thank you both for being here today. We're looking forward to talking.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
So I think it is really important to begin with the fact that Kids of the Diaspora is not just a fashion label, but it's actually a platform, and you host events and create visual poetry and videos and all kinds of different things. So I'm curious if you can start by actually introducing the platform and how it began in 2016.
Basically, I felt the need to express my feelings, and I was asked to design a signature shirt for Leni Charles. And I'm a creative director. And when I was in the process, I realized I don't want to design a signature shirt for Leni Charles, but a signature shirt for so many others that maybe connect with the feeling that I have deep in my body, in my heart. And it was the feeling of being a kid of the diaspora, basically living between cultures that some people don't see, because I felt home between this space. And I try to describe it as kids of the diaspora because, yeah.
And what's the importance then of using all of these different mediums? Where do they all come into play for you?
Well, the thing is, the moment we decided to devote ourselves to a purpose, it all came naturally, and it felt right for us to just work in this and in that direction. You know, our motto is deconstruct the concept of minority, and that's our purpose. That's our purpose in the change. Of course, we cannot deconstruct the whole concept of minority all by ourselves. That's something that we have to do as a collective. But still, that's how it became natural for us to do fashion and films and poetry.
And can you talk a little bit about the visual poems? I'm curious how those play a role.
Well, on each item on our collections, we have a poem written, and we just filmed them like a music video. Like they have the vibe of a music video, and I think that's what makes it so special and so cool and so fun for us to produce them.
You know what you have to understand with Kids of Diaspora, there's always the meaning and the feeling in the middle, and we use fashion to as a vehicle to distribute our message and
to express that feeling.
To express the feeling, and we use poetry to communicate from our soul.
Yeah, from heart to heart to the people.
Yeah,
the videos are actually carry the poetry. It's the fashion carries the poetry, and the visual poems carry the poetry as well. And it's like a symbiotic thing also.
So it's the same poem, like the poems that you put onto the garments are the same poems that then appear in the films and in the visual poetry as well?
Exactly.
Poems that you put onto the garments you call the Bloodline tag, and your first collection was also called the Bloodline collection. So could you actually tell us what does Bloodline mean for the both of you?
So basically it's the dedication to our ancestors. And because we have the message, our roots run deep, that invites everyone to think back, reflect, and go back to our ancestors and our roots and see how they paved the way with all their work. And the Bloodline collection, or the Bloodline, the word itself, inspired us to see one color, which is red, and that's our blood. And that's the one color that unites us. And I think that was it, that we wanted to name our first collection Bloodline collection.
Can you talk a little bit about the designs as well? Because your designs are often very minimal, just a t-shirt or even socks emblazoned with one little message, but the font is also super distinctive. So I would like to know a little bit more about that too.
Absolutely. So I'm a creative director and I'm pretty nerdy when it comes to typography. And I combined the word kids of the diaspora because I came up with it because of the strong feeling, energetical feeling of the word itself and the concept. And I combined it with the black letters, and I felt it was right. It captured the feeling that I had. And
and suddenly the whole vision was there and jumped over to the people, like the vibe. It has a lot of energy and it brings a whole vibe, the concept of the font and the wording. It's so strong. So there was no other letter that we could choose for the
let's say logo design. But it actually, Kids of Diaspora it's more than the font. It's just a combination of everything. And the word diaspora itself is so strong, and it's an elastic word because of the wide discourse it has. And it leaves us space to create a place that we can reclaim.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you brought up diaspora because I wanted specifically to ask about that word because it does have so many different associations for different people in different contexts. And so I was just curious what it means to both of you.
Now, for me personally, it means home. I feel at home when I think of the diaspora, when I think of the community, the strength and the empowerment that lives between all these cultures. You can find so much potential, and I can fully be me. I don't have to compromise to anything. I'm not really, I don't have to compromise. And diaspora is basically the word means so much. And if you dig deeper, you can learn so much about the word, about the history. It carries so much. And
it also has a lot of future, I have to add at that point.
Absolutely. And that's why the kids come into play, because
we do come from this background where one part of the family is European and the other part is African. And of course, people do have different religions within our family, and they have different kinds of ways of looking at the world, and we had to create our own little space that we call our home, where we feel at home, accepting both sides. And not only both, there's much more than just black and white and this and that. We have numerologists, people with so many different ideologies just within our own family, and making room for all of them was very important for us, because it's also part of us. And we feel like it's so hard to say we're this and we're that when we're both. We're not just 50% this, 50%, we're not percentages, we're one.
Yeah, and that's really the message of Kids of the Diaspora too, and being so inclusive and making room for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And also not just the person, we're not just one as a person, we're one as a collective. And I think that's the powerful thing about the wording, about everything concerning our label, Kids of the Diaspora.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important for us to also work in so many directions, because some people might not be into fashion, but they share the same opinion, or not even opinion, they share the same feeling, because we wanted to focus on a feeling, because we feel like, or we realize that ideologies and the way people think actually just can tear us apart, and the way we feel, feelings connect us much more. And that's where we become one,
And as a collective, actually, what is your working process kind of like? I mean, I know you two are kind of the center of Kids of the Diaspora, but you also work with people all over the world. So what is the creative process like?
So we have so many ideas. And I think there's this collective feeling that a lot of us have. And when we have the urge to come out with a message that is dearly needed to be heard, then we call our network, we call our film people, photographers, we sit down and we talk and discuss, and we write down, we include poets, and there's so many people involved in all the different visual poems we do. And especially the textile production is also a team that we work closely together. So it's all interdisciplinary, basically. So we create our garment, or the collection. The collection that we create is really connected to the visual poem.
Yeah, it's all one. That's why I said the moment we devote ourselves to a purpose, it all unfolds naturally, and it leaves room for so many things, and it gives us the freedom to expand, and also it attracts the people that have that feel the same, and therefore we don't have to discuss many things. We just work together, and then just things are just there. It's so hard to describe. The creative process is it's vibrant,
it's vibrant and it's open. We are open to the ideas of other people.
Very much.
And I think that's the fun part in doing the visual poems, that everyone can put their expertise into it, and their feelings especially.
And it's because you said that we're the center, it's so important for us to open that up, because of course some people, there has to be somebody who organizes everything, but still we leave a lot of room for the others, because it would be wrong to put our egos into that work. If we call our label Kids of the Diaspora, it has to be from the kids of the diaspora,
right,
to the kids of the diaspora, by them, and not just us. So for us, it's kind of I'd say that the creative process is very spiritual. We're inspired by the kids of the diaspora. We work with them. It's like, it's so hard to say. It's just,
we try to represent them, and it comes naturally to us.
Yeah, it's a natural thing.
But it's not necessarily that you always see our faces, because there's so much more to it and so many other people. But we are the,
and our inspiration
initiators.
is also, can be anything, I always say we believe in the power of the ashe, because of our Nigerian roots. That's the force behind, people say that's the force behind the wind, that means anything can inspire you to do this or that, but still you need the merge of the collective to finally create something. You're never just on your own. And I think that's something we've understood or accepted, That's why the ego is really, really behind in our project. It's not just,
Yeah, no, totally. It's not about you guys, it's about the collective.
At all, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So back to your question, the creative process is just a product of the collective communicating.
Yeah, maybe to kind of give a specific idea of that, you have a new collection coming in April, I believe, and maybe you can talk a little bit about what we can expect from that, and maybe what the feeling was when you were collectively creating this new collection.
We're super excited about this collection. It's going to be called
Identity, but that's a really big thing that we're kind of holding back for years now.
Yes,
because we're working on it constantly, and I think that's maybe the thing we want to add at that point, because when we think a collection is ready, we put it out. We tend to hold things back and rethink of it, and maybe redesign it, or just
actually we're not overthinking it. We're just sometimes, and I believe all artists will understand that. Sometimes the art is not ready to be put out there because it could be misperceived and the time is just not right for it. And we believe that when we started Identity Collection, it wasn't the right time. But now it is the right time because we feel like people are ready for that and they will not perceive it the wrong way. We hope they will warmly accept it and
think beyond. I think that's important at Kids with Diaspora because first they have to understand what does Kids with Diaspora mean, and in our heads we're like on another project already. We're jumping from projects to
from
projects.
one planet to the other.
And there's so much we want to put out, but we're holding so much back because we're working on it like every day.
All the time.
Not only hands-on, but on a conceptual way of thinking as well.
It's just something that hasn't been there before. And if you do, that's how we look at it at least, you know. And if you do something that hasn't been there before, you have to be kind of very, very precise about what you put out there and make sure that it has an impact and the right impact and that it helps people. We wouldn't do something that people don't necessarily need. Like, we feel the urge of empowering people, and the moment we understood that there's that being a minority or identifying with the term minority is not a good thing for any person out there, you know.
Deconstructive thinking.
Exactly. And we have to deconstruct that deconstructive thinking.
Sounds complicated.
It is, but in fact it isn't, you know. It's just a matter of who you are and not letting anybody tell you that the way you are is not right. And it doesn't necessarily have to do anything with your color or the way or where you come from. It can be, you know, a thing of sexuality or any other things that make you feel that the majority of people would necessarily perceive as wie sagt man, as a minority. You know, you nobody
different.
Yeah, exactly, different.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're working on to empower the people.
Yeah.
Because they deserve to be empowered, and we deserve to take the room for us to unfold in our true beauty.
So that was really wonderful. Thank you both for taking the time to speak to us about Kids of the Diaspora. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
And thank you everybody for listening. Enjoy the rest of the program.
You've watched films and listened to talks, so let's change the setting for a while and dive into the world of fashion. Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week is happening simultaneously, and as their partner, we want to give you the chance to directly dive into the exciting program at Kraftwerk Berlin. Let's watch Tom van der Boort's new collection, 7 Ways to be TVDB, and his show, which was inspired by his imagination of a post-lockdown fashion show, moving into the future, but still having the weight on the shoulders, which he will define in an interview right after the show. Enjoy!
was really to find a mix between the future and the past. So I kind of looked a lot to very early computer graphics where you have all these pixelated drawings. And then I wanted to find a way to translate that in a very handmade, crafty way. So that's how we came up with the weaving in the base grids that surround the car. And I think the image that I want to portray is an image of hope and of moving forward and looking to a bright future. To talk a bit more about my creative approach, maybe I have to think a bit about what I always tell to my interns when we are working in my studio. And I think a lot of times in fashion school you learn to edit and you learn to take away things, while I think in my universe it always works that I like to add things, I like to accumulate a lot of information. And I think the point where I decide that something is finished, it's really the point where I have the feeling that nothing else can be added.
It didn't hurt me, but you wanna feel how it feels. It didn't hurt me, but you wanna feel how it feels. But you wanna know that it didn't hurt me. But you wanna hear about the deal they're making. You, it's you and me. It's you and me. If I only could, I'd make a deal with God. Not get him to swap our places. Be running up that road. Be running up that hill. Be running up that building. Don't wanna hurt me. See how deep the ball lies. I will turn you asunder. There's thunder in our hearts. Is there so much hate for the ones we love? Tell me we both matter, don't we? If I only could, I'd make a deal with God. Not get him to swap our places. Be running up that road. Be running up that hill. Be running up that building. If I only could, make a deal with God. Not get him to swap our places. Be running up that road. Be running up that hill. No problem. Come on, angel. Come on, darling. Let's exchange the experience. Come on, baby. Come on, darling. Let me see what's moving from you. Come on, angel. Come on, darling. Let's exchange the It didn't hurt me, but you wanna feel how it feels.
rien faire de tous ces sacrifices. Oui, personne n'est fidèle, mais pourtant la vie doit rester toujours belle. Et peu importe si l'homme reste si cruel avec ce qu'il est, il faut sans doute pardonner, mettre son ego de côté. Pourquoi tout le monde se ment et se trompe jusqu'à se traîner dans la misère la plus totale? Donner ma confiance et mon cœur, pourquoi ça me fait si peur? Est-ce bien normal? Non, c'est pas normal.